Democrats are looking for President Joe Biden to resign, to retire, so that Kamala Harris can take over the presidency. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything that you hear in this video that I call a demonstration is only the opinions of mine and others. Everything that you hear in this demonstration is only allegedly. Salute to the replay gang. Y'all know, big shout out to my replay gang. Keep them comments coming. Also, salute to everybody that's watching from the clouds. Salute to all of my wonderful moderators. Salute to you, him, and her. Salute to the whole Rock Squad. I see you down there, Shane Oaks. Salute. I will salute the chat, and I will come to the chat. Just give me a few minutes. Now, we got to jump into this demonstration, and we got to jump into this demonstration early because the Democrats have been under the microscope ever since the election last Tuesday. Salute Yolanda, salute Yolanda. The Democrats, because as I said on several demonstrations, in Kamala Harris' defense, it wasn't her fault. Her losing the presidential election to Donald Trump, it was not her fault. It was out of her hands. You have to fault the party. You have to fault the Democrat Party. And I gave many reasons on why they failed Kamala. First of all, she only had 104 days to prepare for this election. It wasn't enough time. The Democrat Party knew that Joe Biden wasn't capable of performing that duty as a president. They knew this. They knew this. They knew this months ago, right? So why did they wait for the last minute to decide to sit Biden down as far as running in this up-and-coming election and let Kamala run? I think Kamala, honestly, I think Kamala would make a good president. I just don't feel like she would make a better president than Trump. But I do feel like she would make a good president. I mean, she couldn't do no worse than all them other presidents. So I do believe that Kamala would have done a good job. I just don't feel like she would have been a better president than Trump. Now, the Democrats, see, they under the microscope. And some of the Democrats, they're coming out and they're speaking on this because they on the hot seat. See, Trump, he good right now. The Republicans, they good right now. Many people want to know, how did Kamala Harris lose to Donald Trump? Many people know, and if you know politics, you know. You got to fault the Democrats, right? But let's check out some of this news that's coming from some of the Democrats, and let's see exactly what the Democrats are talking about. Because many of them feel like, let's go ahead and retire Biden, even though it's only 2 months left. A month and a half left before Trump takes over. But many of the Democrats feel like, look, sit Biden down, put Kamala in for this remaining time, get her feet wet a little bit. So then in 4 more years, she can come back. A lot of Democrats aren't happy right now. Shano says, yeah, probably president of the music industry. She does like celebrities single for her. Shano says, salute Capricorn. I see you, Capricorn. Salute y'all. Salute to the chat. Let's check out the Democrats and what they got to say.
And again, we will bring you the remarks at Arlington National Cemetery with...
Oh, and a big shout out to all veterans. Salute 80s baby. Salute Kiki. Salute Kiki and 80s baby and Capricorn Chronicles. A shout out to all veterans. Today is Veterans Day. So if I could get some prayer hands in the chat for all veterans. Let's show our veterans just how much we appreciate them. Shout out to all veterans. Throw up some prayer hands for all our veterans.
They begin. Let's get some news. Democrats are in a full-blown identity crisis right now after that bruising that they took last Tuesday to Donald Trump. Among those tearing into their own Democratic Party, Congressman Dean Phillips, who launched a primary challenge to Biden.
My voice, yes, was ignored, but tens of millions of Americans' voices were ignored and suppressed and disenfranchised.
The Democratic Party should have one simple mission, and that is to address the economic hardships and struggles of many Americans, not just working class Americans.
Wow, I mean, that sounds like a great idea, right? Talk to the voters. Look introspectively. Here's progressive Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal in a quote. She says, we have become a party of elites. Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut posted, we are out of touch, our tent is too small, we don't listen enough. A headline in the liberal outlet, The Atlantic reads, the Democrats need an honest conversation on gender identity. A member of the DNC Finance Committee said this.
What are y'all thoughts? Salute Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean says, how many times have you seen Trump golfing with black or brown people? That's a good question. What do y'all think? It says The Atlantic. The Democrats need an honest conversation on gender identity.
The truth is, this is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. Actually, it was $1 billion, 18 million, I think, right? There were 20 million or $18 million dollars in debt. Right. It's incredible. I feel like a lot of us were misled.
She feels like many of us has been misled. See how fast the tables turn? Remember, before the actual election, remember everybody, well, not everybody, remember people, Democrats, remember they were focusing on Trump. They were telling the people not to let Trump mislead y'all. Well, now that Trump has won, the same Democrats are saying that they feel misled. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. The game is cold. The game is very cold. They love you when you winning, but they dislike you when you losing. Why didn't they have this same energy before the election? And I'm going to tell y'all why. Because they thought that Kamala was going to win. Salute Tina. Salute Tina. Tina says, I think many conversations need to be had. Salute Tina. Appreciate you for pulling up.
A former Democratic operative authored an opinion piece titled, I raised $50 million for the Democrats. This week I voted for Trump.
Wow. Wow. Let me let y'all see it. A Democrat said, I raised $50 million for the Democrats. But this week, she voted for Trump. Shano says, how is she going to talk about being misled when you chose Cardi B to speak for you, misleading the youth? Jelly Bean says, I'm joining the deportation team. Capricorn says, Jelly Bean, you're ignorant. It's more, y'all. It's more. But she says she raised $50 million for the Democrats. Wow. Gonna be a good paycheck.
Ooh, here she is on Fox earlier.
After, working in Democratic politics, as a fun people on the left have towards people in the middle of the country, they just don't get it. They don't get the pain that people are feeling.
I want to bring back Doug Collins, who's part of our power panel today, and Leslie Marshall, Fox News contributor. Great to have you both. Leslie, I'm going to start with you. You know, you heard that young woman talking about raising money over the years and then voting for Donald Trump. I can't get over these numbers. $10 million for Beyonce to step up and back Kamala Harris.
$10 million. Are y'all listening? $10 million for Beyonce to step up and back Kamala Harris. I would have took the 10 million. And we wonder why the celebrities were there. It's a cold game. Are y'all paying attention? Those celebrities got paid. Those celebrities got paid. Are y'all listening? Beyonce got paid $10 million. I would have stepped up for $10 million to not endorse. I would have stepped up for $10 million to say I'm voting for anybody. 10 million? Listen, y'all.
Look like $5 million for Megan Thee Stallion, $3 million.
5 million for Meg Thee Stallion. 5 million. 10 million for Beyonce. 5 million for Meg. Make sure y'all taking y'all notes.
For Beyonce to step up and back Kamala Harris publicly. $5 million for Megan Thee Stallion, $3 million for Lizzo.
3 million for Lizzo. Make sure y'all keeping notes. 3 million for Lizzo.
8 million for Eminem. I mean, is that
8 million for Eminem. 8 million for Eminem. When you got all of these real men and women out here that's suffering, that could have used that money to help fight for justice for their loved ones. You cannot blame Kamala. You got to blame the Democrat Party.
normally how it goes? You spend 20 million, you get yourself in debt to try to get a bunch of rich celebrities on stage? I've never seen that. Maybe I'm ignorant of the fact, but wow.
Well, Harris, you know how I feel about endorsements, and I don't think any side, Democrat or Republican, should pay for them because they really don't help. But to the other clips that you paid, look, in 2008, when Obama won and Democrats took over the House and the Senate, and numbers people were really shocked about, Republicans had, we call this time, and to change your course. And I've always said I'm a centrist moderate Democrat, and you've seen other people, I'll use the term election, have been successful doing that. Mm-hmm. And I've always said it would hurt our party moving too far to the left, and I think some of these numbers are showing that. We can't ignore that. So, we do have 75 million people that liked what was being put out there, but 75 million wasn't enough to win. And we have 18 million that stayed home because they clearly didn't like our candidate.
Doug, just a chance. It was also millions fewer than what Biden had. So you lost millions of people, and you're right, you got to look at that. Look, Leslie mentioned Bill Clinton as the example of being a moderate. He was the one who helped, really in the last few days for Kamala Harris, bring something far into the front of conversation for Democrats who were watching him. He acknowledged the open border crisis and the fact that people weren't being vetted. Remember that? He was out in the backyard, some event that he was doing, and he talked about why Laken Riley and others are dead because the current administration, Biden-Harris, wasn't vetting people. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And Leslie hits the right points, even though the commentators that you had before in that clip did. But I think the real interesting part for me was watching this, as I watched, both our Republicans and Democrats go at this for a long time, is that the polling was consistent about what mattered to Americans. And it was the economy, inflation, border, and then you had the other things. And it was never failing in this race. And to simply ignore that is, I think, what Democrats are having to wake up to. And Leslie's right. There are ways that Democrats could have messaged this a lot better. But it is amazing to me a little bit that it took an election of this caliber for them to realize the resentment in the country about what was going on with the economy and what was going on with others.
And that's facts. That's facts. Now the Democrats have to take responsibility. See, the Democrats wasn't listening. And I'm going to go to the Republicans not listening as well. However, the Republicans won. The Democrats lost. And we all know how the game goes. The winners take home the trophy. The losers have to sit back and analyze what they did wrong.
Prima Jayapal, I've served with, to say that they become a party of the elites, they've been skewed so far, and Leslie made mention of this before, they skewed so far left. She was part of the reason that they look like that they went to the left, because the elite group was in such a small minority of the left that drove them so far away from the middle America voter.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if even better messaging could have taken over the facts of how people were feeling the high prices and the things that had been denied for 3.5 years. You're not really feeling that. These are not the droids we're looking for. It sounds like, Leslie, you guys are going to go out and find some different droids. Things that had been denied for 3.5 years. You're not really feeling that. These are not the droids we're looking for. It sounds like, Leslie, you guys are going to go out and find some different droids. Good to see you both. Thank you.
Well, it's just like a football team, right? When you lose, you say, okay, what do we have to have to do?
Well, that's what champions do.
On the field.
Yeah, you're right. That's what champions do. Then they.
That's what I just said. The winners, they get to take home the trophies. But the losers got to sit back and say, damn, where did we go wrong?
Come back the next time.
We've lost before, we've won before, we'll win again.
All right, we'll see. We'll be covering all of it. Thank you both. Appreciate it. One CNN host spent a full 7 minutes breaking it down, looking at Democrats, and actually why it was such a beatdown on Tuesday.
Are we ready? Are we ready to listen to the Democrats' woes? Are we ready to listen?
They blew. There were other issues that Democrats flubbed, which inflamed the opposition and depressed their base. They missed a massive shift in American public opinion in just a few years.
Wow, Fareed Zakaria, 7 minutes. Just a tiny portion of that blistering takedown that included Israel's laser focus, or liberals, I should say, forgive me, laser focus on woke cultural issues. Outkick founder Clay Travis in Focus Next. U.S. Senate still waiting to see if Republicans will keep their majority in the House. If they do, that would put the GOP in the majority across all three powerful segments of the U.S. government. CNN host Fareed Zakaria is all over Democrats for losing.
They blew it. There were other issues that Democrats flubbed, which inflamed the opposition and depressed their base. The first big error was the Biden administration's blindness to the collapse of the immigration system. And
that was the first thing. Did y'all hear him? The blindness to the Biden's administration collapse with the immigration system. That was the first mistake. That was the first mistake. And instead of them addressing it as being a failure, instead of them fixing it, they did what? They pointed the fingers at Donald Trump. I gave y'all this demonstration. I told y'all. I said they are not going to win if they keep stressing about Donald Trump. We don't want to hear nothing about Donald Trump. We want to hear how you all are going to fix the issue at hand.
the chaos at the border. The second error was an overzealous misuse of law to punish Trump, the dominance of identity politics on the left, which made it push for all kinds of DEI policies.
I like what Shano said. I like what Shano said. And I want y'all to listen to what Shano says. Shano says, this is starting to make sense. That's why they definitely had to get P. Diddy out the way. Make sure y'all double tap the screen. Make sure y'all double tap the screen. Drop a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Make sure y'all double tap the screen. We got 329 people watching. Let's get my likes up. Shano says, Kamala Harris, let all them immigrants come over here so P. Diddy can put them in the freak off. Drop a 1 if y'all agree with Shano. Drop a 1. And let me know if y'all can hear me. Make sure y'all double tap the screen and get my likes up. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
That largely came out of the urban academic bubble, but alienated many mainstream voters.
Well, look, that all follows the backlash that Democrats are seeing. Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton particularly doubled down on his remarks protecting women's sports. He says his party is not capable of having open discussion.
See, once again, you cannot get around and I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing for anybody. You cannot get around allowing men, you cannot get around allowing men to participate in female sports. Men are more dominant than females. Men are more stronger. It's nowhere in the world you're going to convince me that men should be playing a all female sport. You can't convince me. But the Democrats was behind that kind of foolishness. Come on, y'all. We calling a spade a spade. The Democrat was behind that kind of foolishness. So you mean to tell me it's okay for a grown man to participate in these female sports? It's okay for a grown man to box. It's okay for a grown man to wrestle and fight a female? You can't make this up. Get my likes up, y'all. We got 311 watching. Get my likes up. Double tap the screen. Get my likes up.
You told the New York Times, quote, I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete.
And I stand
That's exactly what I just said.
by my position. Maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party. And we've got to be able to have these debates. But instead, we have a wing of our party that shames us, that tries to cancel people who even bring up these difficult topics. And
They always trying to cancel people that bring up these discussions. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. Why is it when we bring up these discussions, why do they try to cancel us? Huh?
frankly shames voters.
Man, I feel like we're a fly on the wall. And we begin with this Fox.
All right, y'all. I'm going to come down to the chat for a few. All right? I'm going to come down to the chat for a few. Make sure y'all subscribe to my backup channel. Salute Eye of the Storm. Eye of the Storm says, and you will give away your whole democracy over that issue. Well, see, Eye of the Storm, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you because I told you so many times. I've been waiting for you and I've been waiting for Mel. I'm going to give it to you and Mel because y'all both didn't want to listen to Shankrock. Now, I'll take your comment and you will give away your whole democracy over that issue. See, it's not about giving away the democracy, okay? Because, and I'm coming, as I stated before, whatever Trump is trying to push, whatever bills he's trying to push, it's nothing worse than what we already been dealing with. I wish I could have dropped the link out of the storm. You laughing out loud now. I wish I could drop this link, but I got to do a demonstration with just me, Mel, and Eye of the Storm. So Mel, wherever you're at, somebody go get Mel. Somebody go get Miss Sunny Florida and tell Miss Sunny Florida that Shank is looking for her and Eye of the Storm. Can y'all hear me? Tina keeps saying she can't hear me. Can y'all hear me? Let me get to the veterans, y'all. My bad. I apologize. It is Veterans Day. It is Veterans Day.
Ukraine, Russia. Your thoughts on this Veterans Day?
Well, again, this is the benefits of having President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. We saw what he did with the Abraham Accords to expand normalization of Israel, which led to stabilization in the Middle East. We saw where KSA and the UAE and many other nations are starting to come together, which would actually minimize what Iran's capabilities are with regards to it being a large state sponsor of terror. But also, it was President Trump who actually listed the Houthis as a terrorist organization. When they were delisted, as you saw, Harris, that's when 12% of global global trade started to be disrupted in the Red Sea. So the other thing is that you've heard President Trump talk about the elimination of the kind of normal trade relations with China and increasing to a 60% tariff. That's going to bring China to the table to where we can say no longer can you continue to import Iranian oil. No longer can you violate sanctions that are not being imposed. And not having that money that Iran is now taking in will stop them from being able to fund Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthi rebels, the Kataib Hezbollah out in Iraq, and all the other areas. And so what we're looking at is that a peace through strength mechanism with an America First agenda will actually help with stabilization across the world.
Now that's Trump. For everybody, for Eye the Storm and Mel and everybody else that want to talk about Trump. That's the work that Trump is putting in. I see you, Lush. I see you, Lush. Let's get down, Democrats. Let's get down. I want all Democrats to pull up. And they can't hear me. Can y'all hear me now? Drop a one if y'all can hear me. Drop a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. Y'all see every time the old man get to cooking, I'm always experiencing audio technical. But I got something for them Democrats. When I tell you the Democrats, I'm coming for you. I ain't laughing, Lush. I ain't laughing, Lush. I got it out for Lush, Orion. I got it out for Eye of the Storm. And I got it out for Mel, Miss Sunny, Florida. Let me get back to the presentation.
That's a lot to take in because, as you point out, this has been something that we've been seeing for the last 3 or 4 years under this current administration. And as we get ready to recognize men and women like yourself who've served and gone far away at times in our name.
And like your father as well, Harris, who's a true hero.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I grew up always knowing what our place was as a military family and our history and our future. These men and women like yourself, and I appreciate your kind words about my father, they play a role in taking, it's almost like taking a piece of America with them every time they fight, every time you would fight, to go so far in our name. So as we look abroad and the way you just laid it out, the goal is, and we've heard President-elect Trump say this, is to keep us at peace so we don't have to send our men and women into war.
The goal for Donald Trump is to keep Americans at peace so we don't have to go to war. Y'all see how quick Russia is ready to end that fight with Ukraine. Y'all see how quick Israel is ready to end that war with the Palestinians. Okay, so we on the same page, right, Lush? We on the same page. That's what I'm saying. My man, whom you all know as the Orange Man, my man is about his work. But I still give a shout out to Kamala Harris. Don't get it twisted, y'all. I do think that Kamala would have did a decent job. I do. I just don't think she was the better candidate between her and Trump. But I do think that Kamala would have did a decent enough job as a president. I do.
If we don't need it.
Well, and we recognize that because of the weakness that invites aggression when it came to this administration. The things that we saw when the 1994 Budapest Memorandum was violated for Ukraine, that happened in 2014. Oh, that's right, Obama and Biden. When they came back and did further invasions, that was during Biden. So again, it's weaknesses.
So we can bring everybody this. I thank you. I know you're going to stand by. Let's go to Arlington National Cemetery.
Once again, y'all, shout out to all veterans. Throw up some prayer hands in the chat for all veterans. Shout out to all veterans. Happy Veterans Day. I see your eye of the storm. I see your eye of the storm. I see eye of the storm. But if y'all notice, eye of the storm has been MIA over here. Let me read eye of the storm's little comment. Eye of the storm says, just because he won don't mean we weren't listening to you. We just had other sets of values as humans, and y'all got caught up on micro issues and not the big picture. Eye of the storm, what is you talking about? Why did you get MIA on me, brother? Why did you get MIA on me, brother? I just want to know, Eye of the Storm. And the rest of the Rock Squad would like to know, why did you get missing? You was missing in action over here. Now, I gotta give Kamala and Joe Biden they flowers. They did attend the ceremony, so let me give them their flowers. As y'all can see, Kamala and Joe Biden. Now, let me ask y'all. Should the Democrats retire Joe Biden? Should the Democrats sit Joe Biden down and let Kamala finish out this presidency? Drop a 2 if y'all agree. Drop a 3 if y'all disagree. And since you want to agree with Eye of the Storm, report to my office, Sabrina. So now I got Sabrina that has to report to my office, Eye of the Storm, Lush, and Mel. All 4 of y'all report to Joe's Clark office. But how do y'all feel? Do y'all feel like they should go ahead and sit Biden down and let Kamala finish out these last few weeks? I think it's maybe 7 weeks left, or about 7 weeks that's left for this administration. What are y'all thoughts? I ain't smiling, Sabrina. I ain't smiling. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, y'all. That's all. Give me a few minutes. All right, let's go back, y'all. I see your Eye of the Storm, brother. Eye of the Storm says, I'm for hers, period. Everybody with T fans or parrots are getting eyes and no ears if just to see you gloat and boost. I've been on a food, just didn't say nothing. Yeah, Eye of the Storm. Yeah. But I know after that presidential debate, you had the most to say. See, the Democrats, y'all pulled up deep over here after that presidential debate that Kamala won. But when she lost the presidential election, y'all was like church mice. Huh? Nola says she better go out helping our people, Americans. Eye of the Storm says yes, they should if they aren't going to look into the breach. Let her still be POTUS 47, all right?
And during it was to try to get with young people and tell them exactly how the military was going to change in the future. And we will see that now, won't we, Congressman Mills? I mean, cyber is a part of it. Things will, and just kind of preparing that next generation. What would you say?
Well, that's exactly right, Harris. And again, we have to acknowledge that we've evolved in warfare beyond just bomb.
Eye of the Storm says, it better not smell like no hot dogs in that office. Salute, Snoopy. Salute, Snoopy. Appreciate you for pulling up. Eye of the Storm said it better not smell like no hot dogs in that office. Positive Vibes says, Shank on one today, but at least y'all got hair. That's messed up, Positive Vibes. That's how you do me, Positive Vibes? Okay. I'm going to remember that. Make sure y'all double tap the screen and get my likes up. We got over 300 people watching. Make sure y'all double tap the screen. Man, that ain't what I want. Salute, Brother Nazir. Salute, Brother Nazir.
And others. So we have to advance that. But I want to talk about the significance of today. One, yes, it's honoring our brave men and women who are willing to wear that uniform for this time-honored tradition of service to keep our republic free. But the wreath-laying ceremony didn't actually occur until 1992. And what it stood for was the beauty and brevity of life. And I think anyone who served in uniform understands that in the blink of an eye, we can lose our lives. But we're willing to do that because this nation is worth fighting for.
And Doug, I know you're nodding. You have something you want to share.
No, I agree with him. This is a day we celebrate all who serve, but it is a special, poignant moment when you hear those taps. And I know Corey and I both have heard this across the world. We've been in faraway lands and heard that noise. Yeah. We know the sacrifice given, but we also respect the service that is everyone is given, no matter if they went to war or not. Putting on that uniform means more than you can ever imagine.
And that's why I give credit. I give credit to all military people. I give credit to them all. I give credit to the veterans. I give credit to all of the military branches. I do, because they suit up and boot up to go and fight for our freedom. And many of them don't even know what the fight is about. So for me, I take my hat off to military. I take my hat off to veterans. I see you down there, Pee Wee. Salute. I think Pee Wee should be added on to the list with the rest of y'all. Lush, Eye of the Storm, Sabrina, Mel. I see you, Pee Wee. Don't think I ain't forget all that you was talking about Kamala Harris. But I'm going to let you slide, Pee Wee. I'm going to let you slide.
I can only imagine it. And it was revered in my household.
Yes.
A new opinion piece, I want to kind of bring a little bit of news into this. Argues, quote, veterans deserve better, more bang for their buck, more effective help for the ones who need it, wherever they are, even if they are far from a veterans treatment center. That's a quote, and it suggests, this article, that massive congressional changes to veterans programs are needed now. Congressman Mills, what is afoot with regard to this, and what can you get done?
Look, at the end of the day, what's wrong, and Doug knows this all too well, is that Congress's metric of success is not the actual outcome, but how much they spend. This is why they boast all the time, 17% increase in VA spending, 22% VA spending. What we need to be looking at is what is the actual metric of outcome. If you told me, Harris, that if I increase spending by 17%, I'm going to take our daily suicide rates from 22 to 15, I would tell you, how do we take it to 0? The reality is that Congress has to change the metric of success, not by what we spend, but what we save in the outcome outcome we receive. And that's why we have to be more fiscally responsible, but also limit federal government, rescoping it, reshaping it to get back to the 10th Amendment. I'm an absolutist on the 10th Amendment for state and individual rights.
Let me ask you this, Pee Wee. Pee Wee says, I don't like orange people. Let me ask you, Pee Wee. Do you got a problem with the orange man being a convicted felon? This question is for Pee Wee. Do you got a problem with the orange man being a convicted felon? Please answer the question, Pee Wee. What's your issue with the orange man, Pee Wee? I know your issue with the orange man, Pee Wee. Let me explain something to y'all. Pee Wee, the biggest crook in the neighborhood, the biggest criminal out the bunch, Pee Wee got the nerve to have a problem with another criminal. That ain't right, Pee Wee. That ain't right.
If we want things to be done correctly, we prioritize our veterans above criminal migrants, we prioritize our veterans above all, and we start looking at how do we strengthen our military, how do we strengthen this nation economically.
Yeah, one of the things that really was a blight on our role in history as the public, as the society right now with an open border under the current administration, Doug, is that it really showed just how much in need our military veterans are. When those resources began in cities and you know, sanctuary areas around the country to be pulled away for people who had in many instances entered our country illegally.
Yeah, it's very important to look at in resources. I agree completely with what Congressman just said. I mean, it's not about money, it's about also doing things right. The Biden administration hired back thousands who were fired for ineptness and inattitude and also just malfeasance, and they were hired back into the system. The system is broken, Harrison. You've recognized that for many years. We've got to get back to a system that puts those veterans' patients first. And if that means they want to go to their own doctors, then so be it. We give them that opportunity to do it so they don't have to drive 80 miles to find their eye doctor when they have trouble seeing to start with. And I think this is what Donald Trump will bring back. And I think it's what we've got to look for in a new administration is let's quit thinking in the same bowl and box. I've been there before, just like the congressman. And it's not about a metrics of money, it's about a metrics of effectiveness. And that's where we've got to get back to.
So if you...
And let me just say this, y'all. Look at all of the money. Look at all of the money that the Democrat Party spent on Kamala's campaign. Look at all of the celebrities. What was it, a $20 million? What they broke down to $20 million? But do y'all see the difference? The orange man is more focused on doing what's right. He ain't perfect. Kamala is more focused on doing what's wrong. She's not perfect. She's not perfect. For me, I'm weighing my options. I'm weighing. You have the orange man that is focusing on MAGA, Make America Great Again. He's acknowledging that America is suffering. With that slogan, that says to me that he recognized that we have issues and he's willing to put forth an effort to fix those issues. You got Kamala. She makes it seem like we're in the Wizard of Oz. But it's so many different demonstrations in the Wizard of Oz. Remember, Kamala, she's like Dorothy. And remember, Dorothy was in a fairy tale. Y'all got to remember this now. Kamala is in this fairy tale. She's always sugarcoating things. Every time it's time to answer some important questions, Kamala is always laughing. Every time you ask her, what is she going to do? She always throw off and make it about Donald Trump. She never answers it. She never gets to the bottom line of things that needs to be answered. Look, I like her. I think she's a very intelligent woman. I do. I think that she would make a decent president. I do. I just don't believe she will make a better president than Trump. Man, how many times do I gotta say this? Trump gets work done. He showed y'all. Less than 24 hours of him being elected, the stock market went up. I mean, come on, y'all. Salute Taylor XO, salute Steve. I see y'all down there in the chat. Out of the Storm says effectiveness. That should scare you. How can you do what's right and be effective without being present in people's lives? Out of the storm, out of the storm. I just don't know what to say. Let me grab a few more comments. Steve says, I think people are tired of the trans push agenda. Shano says, follow the yellow brick road head. It's like, come out of the fairy tale, y'all. It's a fairy tale. Nola says, preach. Jelly Bean says, a white man, I know what's coming. God bless you fools. All right, I want to talk to you, Jelly Bean. I want to talk to Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean is a white man, okay? He's a Caucasian. Talk to me, Jelly Bean. Talk to me, Jelly Bean. Is Trump, and this is for Jelly Bean, and everybody else can answer too, but this is for Trump. This is for Jelly Bean. 31st Virginia says God's not dead. This is for Jelly Bean, and he's a white man. Help us understand why Kamala would have made a better president than Trump. Can you answer that for me, Jelly Bean? Can you answer that for me, Jelly Bean? Jelly Bean is ignoring. That's what Capricorn says. Come on, Jelly Bean. Come on out. You're a white man. Why do you feel like Capricorn says he's ignorant? Why do you feel like Kamala makes a better president than Trump?
Could, Doug, I'll double down with you a little bit because you're in Georgia. That was a swing state. But as you could tell, all 7 went for Trump. So when it comes to the military, and I want to kind of pause right here to see okay, so we saw this moments ago. My curiosity is around this one thing, and that is, how do we go forth and get people to understand and to get excited about the military in our lives? I mean, that was something as a child that my mom wanted to do. She made friends off base. She had civilian connections, and people knew she would bring them on base as guests. People knew and had connective tissue with military people in their lives. We don't have that as much anymore.
No, I'm going to say something that maybe sound a little bit strange. I think we need more military doing more military jobs and less civilians doing military jobs. I think that's an interesting issue that we're seeing right now that does take away from a lot of our, a lot of the jobs, and Congressman knows this as well, we've contracted out. There's not that military cohesion. Some of them are former veterans, but some of them are not. Mm-hmm. And our bases here in Georgia, and we've got major bases here in Georgia, recognize that. What we've got to get back to, though, is what really heartbreaks to me. If you look at some polls where members of the military are telling their sons and daughters not to go in, and that is because they feel like they're not being treated the way that they should be, as the best fighting force in the world, as the best training and supporting, and they've been experimented with, and they feel bad about that. I want us to get back where our members say, I want my son and daughter to follow in my tradition because this is worth fighting for.
Legacy.
Now let me ask y'all another question. All right? I appreciate all of y'all comments. Salute. I see y'all down there. Salute. Let me ask y'all this. Going into the year 2025, all right? Is it about race? Is it about race? Is it about economic status? Is it about religion? Going into 2025, what is America about? What should we be focusing on? All right? Somebody talk to me. What should we be focusing on going into 2025? All right, I got Jelly Bean back. Jelly Bean then dropped out of the bushes. Jelly Bean wants to have an Easter egg hunt now. Jelly Bean has dropped out of the bushes. Jelly Bean says it's 100% about your race. Okay, I see you, Perk. All right. All right, now focus in on what Jelly Bean is saying. I see you, Hisoka. All right, and I don't mean to skip over nobody. Please don't be offended. All right, Jelly Bean says he said on day one deportation starts. Okay, okay. Positive Vibe says he been commenting you lately. Okay, all right. Now, Jelly Bean says going into 2025, it's about race. Jelly Bean says they won't stop with Mexicans. Do y'all agree with Jelly Bean? Do y'all agree with Jelly Bean, or do y'all disagree? Jelly Bean says they hate you. Murray Man says it's about being lied to. You should be thinking about your community. Lush says we should be focusing on the economic state of our country foremost. Capricorn says the children. Hasoka says who hates who. Y'all come on with the comments. Come on, y'all can keep coming with the comments. Cause I wanna see something. I wanna see something. I wanna see something. I can't pronounce your name, but it's Dere. That person says we need Jesus. Capricorn says Jelly Bean is ignorant. He keeps saying deportation. All black people are not from Africa. And that's facts. And I'm glad that you said that, Capricorn. All black people that's in the United States of America, we all aren't from Africa. The true history, and I'm just gonna give you all just a tap. And I know Capricorn Chronicles and the majority of us know this. But for those that don't know, true history, the Native Americans were melanated people. The Native Americans were in the complexion that you see right now. In other words, the Native Americans were black. Okay? A lot of the Native Americans, a lot of those tribes that were here were us. Lush says, big fact, Shank. Where are you sending black people? Capricorn says, where are you sending black people who are native to this land? Please be for real. Hisoka says, some of them came here against their own will. Deport who? Lush says, big fact, Shank. I can't pronounce your name, but it says every bit of social upheaval has been as a result of resource scarcity. It was never about anything else. Tina says, Jelly Bean must be white, just asking no shade. Shano says, here. Jelly Bean says, living in a fantasy, where are the Native Americans living right now? Well, some of them were pushed up on the reservations, the reservoirs. But the majority of them is, you looking at us, is us. Let me just say this, y'all. Let me just say this. Where are those ships? Huh? Where are the boats that brought all of these alleged Africans from all over? Where are these ships at? Huh? Where are these boats? Right? Now, here's one for you. How long do they say the journey from Africa all the way over here? Do you realize how long of a journey that it took or it would have took? Do you realize 6 months or more? Do you realize with nothing to eat? Do you realize how would those people that were enslaved, how would they make it through that journey of months? Somebody tell me. Somebody in the chat entertain those that just don't get it. See, we know all about how our true identity was taken from us. We know all about when you go to the Middle East. We know all about on TV. They only show you in the movies. They only show you the light skin complexion Arabs. We know The Arabs that come here and open up shop in our communities, we know the light-skinned ones, right? But we know when you go to Saudi Arabia, when you go to Iran, when you go to Iraq, we know we are there. And we've been there. We know when we see the Indians come from India and Pakistan and all over. We see the version of them that y'all give us. But we know over there in Pakistan, we know that over there in India, we know the dark people are there. But the dark people get pushed up in the mountains. Huh? Do I need to continue with this as far as us as melanated people? Do I need to continue as far as us as black people? We know in China. We know over there in Asia. We know the originals were us. I'm not going to entertain that. I'll let the chat entertain black people and where we come from and where we're at. We know, even up in Europe, the originals were us. We know the Dark Ages. That's when the Europeans, the Caucasians, was ran up into the Caucasus Mountains. The Moors in 1492. I'm sure you know history. The Moors went up in Europe and civilized the Caucasians, the Europeans. Somebody in the chat entertain them. I got a demonstration to do. Make sure y'all double tap my screen. I got 378 people watching. There's no reason why I should only have 53 likes. Double tap that screen. Double tap that screen and hit the like button. The champ is here. The champ is here.
Remember, it's the day the American people regained control of their country.
It's a remarkable turnaround for a man whose political career looked dead and buried just a couple of years ago. He's battled impeachments, indictments, being found liable for sexual assault, but somehow he's once again risen to become the most powerful man in the world.
The momentum of the last few weeks was really good for Trump. He peaked at the right time.
Donald Trump is the greatest show on earth.
For his supporters, it's jubilation.
Anybody with any brain will tell you Donald Trump is the best.
For his detractors, despair.
The United States would rather have a misogynist leader who's been convicted of sexual misconduct and assault rather than a woman president.
So how did he do it? How did he convince America that despite his legal troubles, despite his role in the attack on the Capitol 4 years ago, that he was the man to lead America once again? To understand how Trump has made it back to the White House, we must first go back 4 years. Trump had lost his bid for re-election to Joe Biden.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing.
He refused to accept the result.
That was a rigged election. I ran the first time and I won. Then I ran a second time and I did much better. Frankly, we did win this election. I want everything exposed to the public, including the election fraud.
It culminated on January the 6th, 2021. Tens of thousands of his supporters gathered in Washington.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol
It was days before Donald Trump was due to hand over power.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. USA! USA!
Trump's supporters launched an egregious attack on American democracy.
This is our house. This is our country. This is our country.
That it was the worst moment in modern American history to see our own fellow citizens try to overthrow our own government.
One person died, and others, including police officers, later took their own lives. Law enforcement officers were overwhelmed. Pundits and politicians were quick to say that was it for America's 45th president.
President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever. The good thing is that he soon will be as irrelevant as an old tweet.
To allow the President of the United States to incite this attack without consequences is a direct threat to the future of this democracy.
He was impeached by the House for a second time, but Trump loyalists in the Senate refused to find him guilty. Even Mitch McConnell, the most senior Republican in the Senate at the time, admitted Trump was culpable.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day.
But
Drop a one in the chat if y'all feel like Trump was responsible for January the 6th, the Capitol riots. Drop a 1 if y'all feel like Trump was responsible for that. Drop a 2 if you disagree with it.
refused to vote against him. So impeached but not convicted, Trump's reputation was hanging by a thread, and the Republican Party seemed certain to move on. Candidates that he endorsed failed to shine.
Guys, I just found out we have the enemy back there. The fake news. Enemy of the people.
It seemed the magic had died, but Trump had other ideas and wasn't willing to give up the spotlight. He was going to run again.
America's comeback starts right now.
I thought after Jan 6, Trump is done, right? There's no way he could come back from this. He surely made some mistakes, one of which was January 6th, which was disgraceful. People are looking back and think, not a good day, but I care about the economy, I care about foreign policy, I care about the open border, and if a bunch of loonies want to run around the Capitol wearing a deer hat or whatever it was, that's stupid.
Now let me say this, because y'all know I call a spade a spade. And y'all know I give the good, the bad, and the ugly. I do believe that it was Trump's fault. I do believe that Trump was responsible for the Capitol riots on January the 6th. I do believe that. I give y'all the good, the bad, and the ugly about Trump as well as Kamala. So I'm not going to sit up here and make it seem like Trump was this excellent president, because he wasn't. He wasn't. I do believe that he was responsible for the January 6th Capitol riots. I do. I believe he was responsible.
But it's not changing my life.
Trump supporters were happy to move on from January the 6th, but almost as quickly as the prospect of a Trump resurrection took hold, a tidal wave of new legal troubles hit his campaign.
Former President Trump indicted on dozens of counts. He is the first former president to ever face criminal charges.
Just months after his announcement, Trump was indicted for a case he thought was long dead.
Hi, everyone.
Accused of paying hush money to a porn star, Stormy Daniels, to influence the 2016 election.
How do y'all feel about Trump paying hush money to an escort? How do y'all feel? True or false? Did he pay the money? Did he pay the hush money to the escort?
Donald Trump is today leaving this court, the former president, as a convicted criminal. He would be found guilty again earlier this year when a judge found him liable for sexual assault against the writer E. Jean Carroll in a case dating back to the 1990s. And then came the criminal indictments from his time in office.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
In Florida, FBI agents raided the former president's home amid accusations of mishandling confidential documents.
ABC News is learning of an FBI search of the primary residence of former President Trump. It's a remarkable development.
In Washington, D.C., there were more charges over alleged attempts to overthrow the 2020 election.
So what are we going to do here? But I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
And allegations from a Georgia prosecutor that Trump led a conspiracy to overturn the vote there. An historic moment, a mugshot for the ages.
A lot of people thought that Donald Trump's legal problems, being embroiled in 4 different legal cases, 3 federal, 1 state, would have been a distraction for him and a benefit to the Democratic nominee.
Charges are still outstanding, with Trump arguing he is protected by presidential immunity.
The indictments really helped Trump. People viewed him as a victim of the weaponization of the justice system, and it's hard to argue otherwise. Would anybody else have been indicted on those charges if they weren't Donald Trump? Not a chance. People see right through this. The voters are seeing through it.
I think what this says is that the United States would rather have a misogynist leader who's been convicted of sexual misconduct and assault rather than a woman president. And that says a lot about us.
Let's put this to bed, okay? Let's put this to bed, all right? How many of y'all have a problem with a woman being a president of the United States of America? The president. Drop a 4. Drop a 4 if you have a problem with a woman being the president of the United States of America. For me, I don't think, although I do believe that there are some that do have an issue with a woman being the president, but for the most people that didn't vote for Kamala, it didn't have anything to do with us not wanting a woman to be the president. It was all about the woman that the Democrat Party chose. Like I said, it was all about the woman that the Democrat Party chose.
More than 80 charges, a battered and beleaguered former president seemingly with no way back.
New York State.
Several Republicans smelled blood and braved fighting him to become the Republican nominee for president.
Tonight, the race for the White House takes flight. Welcome.
But they all failed. Trump stayed above the fray, behaving like an incumbent and not just another candidate. It was a winning move.
Donald Trump never showed up to any of those debates. And that became the moment in which I believe the party resigned itself to him being the standard bearer, him being the person on the ballot for election 2024, and no forces being able to topple him from that perch.
All right, let me chop it up with y'all. I see the chat is jumping down there. We got some Trump supporters. We got some Kamala supporters. I see you, Miss Parker. Jelly Bean says, I'm coping, but you're effed up. Lush says, y'all wouldn't have voted for Michelle either, but she would have ran away with it. Me personally, I would have voted for Michelle. I believe Michelle would make a better president than Trump. I believe Michelle will make a better president than Trump. And I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I always felt like Hillary would have made a better president than Trump. I just didn't feel like Biden makes a better president than Trump. And I didn't feel like Kamala makes a better president than Trump. However, I do feel that Hillary would have made a better president than Trump. I do feel that Michelle would make a better president than Trump. So I would have voted for Michelle. I see you, Tim Mill. I see y'all down there in the chat.
I traveled to a cattle farm in Okeechobee in Florida. It was clear to me Trump's base, that herd of devotees, had never gone away.
As Americans, he's the best president we've ever had. And you just about ask anybody that, and they'll tell you, anybody with any brain will tell you Donald Trump is the best.
The cult of Trump, which is undamaged by any of these court cases, these findings, these extraordinary convictions, is a very happy view. This is all something being organized by his political opponents, but it's not legitimate.
It's interesting that the rise of MAGA and Trumpism has really been centered around the cult of personality of Donald Trump. That is true. There have been many imitators that have tried and failed and unable to accomplish the same lightning in a bottle that Donald Trump has captured here.
But the Donald Trump story and the political giant he became started decades earlier. A self-made man by his own telling.
It has not been easy for me. And, you know, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
In the 80s, Donald Trump made himself a byword for wealth, prestige, celebrity. On magazine covers, immortalized in song. In one of the biggest...
What happened, y'all? What happened? What happened to all of the support from us that we was giving Trump back in the 80s and in the 90s? What happened to all of that? I want to be the next black Donald Trump. Somebody talk back to me.
Shows on television.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
He had a unique way of connecting with people and using mass media, using interviews, using shows, using reality TV to convince people that he was on their side. He doesn't care about any of those people. He only cares about himself. And all of it was to feed his own ego and his own very dysfunctional desire to be adored and to be accepted and to be praised.
Take part in fantasy.
He's been labeled as, he lies and he's actually very honest. And sometimes it gets him in trouble. He's unfiltered. So he says what everyone else is thinking. But
how many of y'all believe that? How many of y'all believe that Trump is very honest? How many of y'all believe that he says what the average one of us is thinking? Drop a one if you think Donald Trump is very honest. Y'all let me know. Does Donald Trump say what you and I are thinking?
For the most part, people like the common sense and saying what he's thinking. He's actually remarkably honest.
People loved the authenticity of Donald Trump. They may not have always loved the way he delivered the message, but nobody ever says Donald Trump is not authentic.
Either way, he's always been a performer. From the silver screen...
Excuse me, where's the mommy?
Down the hall.
Uh-oh, what y'all got to say about that? What y'all got to say about that? I know y'all seen Home Alone. Did Donald Trump nail his part in Home Alone? Talk back to me, y'all.
To the wrestling ring.
Y'all didn't know that Donald Trump could fight, did y'all? You got to give it up for the champ. The man has done it all. You got to give it up for the man, Donald Trump. Where you at, Eye of the Storm? Where you at, Eye of the Storm? Where you at, Lush? Y'all got to give it up for the man that looks evil. Eye of the Storm, you know you got to give it up to him. Go ahead and give it up to him, Eye of the Storm.
Ever since his golden escalator ride in 2015, he's battered his opponents into submission. A pugnacious cocktail of anger and entertainment.
Because he's used to buying politicians.
Well, I've given him plenty of money.
What he tell him? He said, you used to buying politicians. And what he say? Well, I given him plenty of money.
That he's had in a chokehold.
Look at him.
Ever since his golden escalator ride in 2015, he's battered his opponents into submission. A pugnacious cocktail of anger and entertainment.
Because he's used to buying politicians. Well, I've given him plenty of money.
With a brashness and humour that won him fans everywhere, but alienated many in his party.
You want to talk about weakness? It's weak to disparage women.
The reality is the party doesn't like Donald Trump, didn't like Donald Trump. This wasn't a handoff from the party to Donald Trump. This was a hostile takeover. Okay, we came in and kicked the door down and said it's our party now. Okay, because that's what Donald Trump does.
It all led him to the White House in 2016, but after losing in 2020, he vowed to return for this year's rematch. On the campaign trail, his opponent, Joe Biden, was showing his age and apparent infirmity. It made...
All right, we're going to stop right there. Kirsten says, I see you, Kirsten. I see you, James. Kirsten says, I see you, Shane O. Jellybean. Kirsten says, it wouldn't be great to have a woman for president. It would be horrible. Let's build off of Kirsten. How many of y'all agree with Kirsten? Who agrees with Kirsten? Drop a 1 if you agree with Kirsten. Kirsten says it wouldn't be great to have a woman for president. It would be horrible. Drop a 2 if you disagree. Jellybean says, I'm telling you the same things I told the January 6th rioters before they went to prison. Shano says, The Simpsons. Jellybean says, you are the F-bomb. Sabrina says, he tell lies, lies, and more lies. Shano says, what in the hell was that? CJ says, I agree with you, brother. James says, females go with their emotions. And we've been seeing a lot of those females on social media that's going with their emotions by coming for us. Sabrina says, why? Truth Seeker says, I must be muted. Double tap the screen, y'all. Get my likes up. We got 258 watching with only 73 likes. Double tap the screen and hit the like button. Texas Repo says, women are too emotional to be the commander-in-chief. Salute, beautiful. I see you, beautiful. How many of y'all agree? Lush says, hell to the nah, nah, nah. How would you know if we've never had one? Sexist. I feel you on that, Lush. I can agree with Lush. Shano says, I thought I saw a midday shadow.
The 79-year-old Trump looked dynamic.
With your vote on November 5th, 2024, we're going to crush Joe Biden and the White House, that gorgeous, beautiful White House. We have to take it back. We're going to beat him at the ballot box, and we're going to settle our unfinished business. It's unfinished.
Biden's frailties were on embarrassing display when the two met at their presidential debate in Atlanta.
Tina says, I agree, Shank. Sabrina dropped the lush. Now, what do y'all think of this? Was Biden embarrassed? Did Donald Trump embarrass Biden, or did Biden embarrass himself? Salute, Sharon. Salute, Sharon.
Everything we have to do with Medicare.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
This is CNN Breaking News.
President Joe Biden has just announced that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race.
Biden was out, but now another foe stood in his way, the Vice President Kamala Harris.
And that's where I want to stay, y'all. That's where I want to stay because of this demonstration. The name of this demonstration, Democrats are ready to resign or retire Biden to allow Kamala Harris to finish out this presidency. What do y'all think? Do not listen to Positive Vibes, Beautiful Nightmare. Do not listen to Lush. Beautiful Nightmare you just sit there in the corner and don't entertain nobody. All right, beautiful? If you want to stay an angel, do not entertain nobody in the chat. Beautiful nightmare. You can only speak to those that's in the chat. Now, all of this comes down to should the Democrats sit Biden down and allow Kamala Harris to finish out the remaining presidency? Y'all let me know down there in the chat.
They really had little choice but to nominate Kamala. She would not have made the top 5 if there was a primary process. So, they have a very flawed candidate.
This campaign is about who we fight for.
She quickly built a financial war chest of over $1 billion. And at the Democratic National Convention,
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to officially nominate Kamala Harris for president.
she introduced herself to the nation.
On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
She seemed fun, smart, dynamic, a real threat to Donald Trump's march back to the White House.
I'm going to end with this. I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. I'm going to end with this question. And this question is for Eye of the Storm and the rest of the Democrats. Perp says no. This question is for Eye of the Storm, Lush, Pee-wee, who else? Mel, and somebody else. Jelly Bean. This is for you, Jelly Bean. All right? Why did Kamala Harris lose to Donald Trump? Can any of you all tell me that? Can any of the Democrats? Can somebody tell me why Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election? Truth Seeker says information. Sabrina says, I think her loss was one of the biggest scams in history. How many of y'all agree with Sabrina? Sabrina feels like it was a big scam. Lush says, great demonstration, Shank. I appreciate you, Lush. Truth Seeker says, information is everywhere, we know. Shano says, presentation for one. All right? Sabrina feels like it was the biggest scam in history. Eye of the Storm says it was and is Sabrina. So I guess Eye of the Storm is answering it with it was a scam. Shano says representation, school me. Robert says she lost 4 to 5 people. She lost 4 to 5 people did not vote. Can we ride with that? Is that something that we can ride with? The reason why she lost? Because 4 to 5 people didn't vote? Is that a legitimate excuse? Somebody help me out. I'm asking. I want y'all to tell me whether or not we can use that. S says she had no policies to go on, didn't have answers for any questions except to laugh and talk about her childhood. That's a good point. That's a good point. Beautiful says, I think they gonna unalive him so Vance can step up. That's a good point, Beautiful. S says no interviews. And that's where I need you at, Beautiful Nightmare, as an angel. So you stay away from them troublemakers. S says no interviews. Shano says SR and twerk on states with Megan. Shano says why kids watching. Truth Seeker says when you got questions, I will entertain hours of information. We not in the know. We need more transparency that all can see. That's a good point, Truth Seeker. I feel you on that. Eye of the Storm says because they game the system. Racism and micro issues. Can we use that as an excuse? Martin says, salute Martin. Martin says, I don't think a second Trump presidency will be so bad. I'm looking forward now, and hopefully we can unite as a country. That's a good point. Lush says, it's honestly is Donald's time. Once he's in here for these 4 years, we won't have to deal with his antics ever again. That's true. That's true, Lush. The Wiz says she lost due to Latino men and lack of voter enthusiasm. How many of y'all agree with the Wiz? The Wiz says she lost due to Latino men and lack of voter enthusiasm. Lush says, beautiful, right? Shano says, right, president should give us our own corporation if they don't have a problem with race issues equal as theirs. Shano says, no. Shano says, sorry, correction, white president. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. Thanks for your stream. Appreciate that super chat. And if you would like to support the channel, you can support the channel by purchasing a super chat, such as Martin done. Appreciate that super chat. Or you could purchase a super sticker or a membership to the platform. Or you could send a cash donation to my Cash App. My Cash App is $ERICMCINT. Appreciate y'all. Lush says all of these are valid. Eye of the Storm says that's a lie. She had plenty of policies. Y'all just keep saying that to ignorant people who don't Google or listen. Shano says, for real, that will give more trust and opportunities with Africa if they see that. Well, I went over her policies. I went over Trump's policies as well as Kamala policies. So she do have policies. She did bring policies to the table. I don't think that when they say she don't have policies, I think that they are making reference to her policies weren't good policies. That's what I think. Shano says, for real. Okay, I read that. Look, it's been a pleasure chopping it up with y'all. Why y'all don't never pull up when I have open panels? I be having open panels so y'all could come up on the panel with me. Nobody don't ever pull up. S says she had ideas, but nothing to go on. That's a good point. And that's what I'm saying. For me, and I'll say it again, I do believe Kamala Harris would have made a decent president. In my opinion, she couldn't have done no worse than the presidents before her time. So I think she would have made a decent president. I just don't feel like she makes a better president when it comes to her and Trump. SR says she had ideas. SR says, I've subscribed a long time ago, but don't get on all the time. LOL. But I appreciate you for subscribing, SR. Shano says, that's what she was told what to say. Rat says, where's my comment? I'm not sure where your comment's at, Rat, but I just read one. Beautiful says, I've been a slave to my job, Shank, the past few weeks. Otherwise, I would be here raising. See, there you go. Beautiful. Look, just sit down and be an angel. We don't need all of that. There you go. Yeah, I can't cuss. But you know what? Just won't listen. I done told you, beautiful nightmare. Chill. Just relax. Be an angel. But you know what, is about to pluck my nerves by being a troublemaker. Sit you know what I'm talking about, down. Lush says, okay, I got you. Truth Seeker says, I'm just spreading information for those worthy. Eye of the Storm keep calling me Django. SR threw up the laughing emojis. Beautiful threw up the laughing emojis. Beautiful says, okay, one day I'm going to drop the nightmare. Yeah, do that. Why don't you just go ahead and drop the nightmare? Shano says, Biden, oh yeah, I definitely would have turned up on the panel. Look, y'all, I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Make sure y'all go down my community wall. If and show love to the content creators that's in the switching lane sector. Shano, Lush Orion. Lush Orion be over there causing problems, but I ain't gonna air you out. I'm gonna wait and come in your chat later on or tomorrow, Lush. But Lush always, I'm gonna leave it at that. But go and show some of these other content creators that's in the switching lane sector some support. It's a whole lot of content creators with good content. My brother Nazir is one. Just go down my community wall. And also make sure y'all subscribe to my backup channel, After Dark with Shank. I appreciate all of y'all for pulling up. I'll see y'all back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, please show support to me and the rest of the content creators that's in the still switching lane sector. Just go down my community wall and you'll see all of the content creators that's in this sector. Go to my backup channel, After Dark with Shank. Go to that community wall and you'll see all of the content creators. Salute everybody. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Salute.